Here we are on video 15 and look at how far you've come already. You're doing great. Well, we're going to continue that momentum and we're going to go over some floor plan basics. All right, well, let's start. I have designed this nice one-bedroom apartment and I'm going to use this plan to show some things to you that you should be aware of in terms of how a floor plan actually communicates. So the first thing I wanted to show you is all the colors. Isn't it colorful to draw in AutoCAD, especially with layers? So you can now understand why we assign colors to different objects. It really helps us to see them on this black background. The different layers help us have control over our drawings. We categorize all the plumbing fixtures on one layer, the furniture is all on another layer, so on and so forth. As you continue making CD sets, you will need to turn some of these objects off and on. I'm going to go over in a future video exactly why you would want to do that, but I'm just going to demonstrate very quickly how to freeze layers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's just like the movie Frozen. We're going to let some things go. You know what I'm saying? Actually, you probably don't know what I'm saying, so let me show you what I'm saying. So let's say that I want to turn all the furniture off. Like I don't want to see them, I just want to see doors, windows, plumbing, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to come up here to the Home tab and the Layers panel, and you'll see two buttons. One that has a snowflake, and if you hover your mouse it says freeze. The other one has a ball of sunshine and it says thaw. So freezing, if I click on that button, it says select an object on the layer to be frozen. So I'm going to choose a furniture and bam, we let it go, we let it go. Awesome, there's none to be seen, and basically what happened is it went into another dimension. But honestly, it just kind of turned off. It went invisible on us, okay? Not to worry, if you need it back, that's what this little ball of sunshine is. We're going to get it back, get it back. Oh, beautiful. So again, there's the let it go, let it go. All our furniture's gone, don't you know? And then we can go ahead and unthaw everything. Now the only layer that will not thaw is whatever layer that you have showing in this scroll bar. So if I try to freeze a wall, it won't let me. It says down here at the bottom by the command bar, cannot freeze layer A wall. It is the current layer. Know that you can freeze anything that you want to, but you just can't freeze the current layer. All right, we're going to move on, guys. So I hit escape, and you'll notice that in terms of the walls, you'll notice the exterior walls are a little bit thicker than the interior walls. This is because exterior walls are made of different sized materials, and I'm going to go over why walls have different thicknesses and where we install those walls and why we install them that way in a future video. But for now, just know that exterior walls will vary in size, but they're usually a bit thicker than interior walls. So I offset these exterior walls to an 8-inch thickness. You should also notice that anywhere that one wall meets another wall, be it in the corner or when a wall goes right into a wall, that I have trimmed out any and all lines, okay? I gave the spiders living in these walls freedom to walk to different rooms without ever being seen by a human being, okay? AutoCAD has what I call manners, and there's good manners and there's bad manners. And even though there really isn't any right or wrong, there are still things that our field does that you should be aware of. And one of those things is to never draw lines separating walls from other walls. There is one and only time that you actually do draw a line that will look something like this. And that is when one wall is lower in height than another wall. That line separation will communicate to a contractor, hey, something's going on here. You need to understand why this wall and this wall are different from each other. Whoa, sorry about that warning sign there, guys. I didn't mean for that to pop up. It just meant that I needed to plug in my computer, so I did. Alright, so just remember, if you have a half-height wall, it's okay to draw a line to separate them. When we draw floor plans in construction document sets, we rarely leave them blank like this. We rarely leave it where you just see the two lines because there's a lot of lines happening and we need to be able to communicate quickly and efficiently. So we do something that's called hatching. Hatching means that we fill in with a pattern of some kind, be it solid or diagonal lines or something else. The one and only time that you leave a wall blank is if the wall is a half-height wall. So I think the cutoff is 5 foot, but I could be wrong on that. But if it's a wall that doesn't go higher than 5 feet, then you don't fill it in with a hatch, okay? Let me demonstrate hatch to you, and hatch is one of those commands where I just type it. So HATCH, enter. And you'll notice that the ribbon changes a little bit. My cursor currently says pick internal point. I can either pick inside one of these lines, or if I choose this select button, I can actually select pre-chosen objects like a rectangle or a circle. But pick points is usually what you want, and it's what it defaults to. Now, what pattern I use, it really depends, and there's lots of patterns. So solid is what we typically use to hatch a wall. What we also need to do is look at, there's bricks, there's diagonals, there's parquets, crosses. This is the symbol for earth, so anytime that you're drawing dirt, this is what hatch you should use. Little gradients that you can use, so definitely check those out when you get a chance. But these are all the patterns that you can use to hatch. Now, like I said, walls get a solid hatch. And you also want to make sure that you're on the A wall layer. And I know I am because I saw what I was on but right before I did hatch. And you can also get a little bit of an understanding by looking at the color that we have right here. All right, so it currently says pick internal point. The hardest part of working with hatch is knowing that you need to get the entire area that you're hatching to show on the screen. If you're too zoomed in, the hatch doesn't like to work as well. So make sure your whole building is in, move your cursor, and before you actually click, it might take a second. It's being a little cranky with me. Oh, there we go. It'll demonstrate exactly where it's going to hatch. So as you can see, if I did it here, whoa, it's going to hatch the inside of my space, and I don't want that. All right, so we're going to go here in between the walls, and again, sometimes it gets a little cranky. Don't let it be cranky at you, stupid CAD. Just go ahead and click, and then it will place that hatch there for you. I'm going to hit enter to end because I also want to demonstrate another property of hatch. So I'm going to type hatch again. Everything's still the same as it was before. On that particular one, I had a lot of walls that were connected to each other, and so it got a lot of area, but it didn't get these 3 areas. So if I click on each of these all at one time, it does fill it in. I hit enter to say I'm done hatching. When I come back, I want you to notice that when I click on it, all 3 of those areas selected together, but the area that I did before did not. So this is a way that we can control our hatching. This will come in handy for things like ceiling plans, where you should hatch each ceiling for each room individually instead of hatch, hatch, enter. You should do hatch, enter, when you're doing a ceiling. Now the walls, it doesn't really matter too much, but the ceiling plan it will. And there might be times where it is important for you to hatch separately. So just understand that when you type the word hatch and then you click inside, you can click in multiple spaces, or you can click one at a time. This space, this space, this space. Now that the walls are all hatched and they're looking good, let's turn to some of the layers and line types that you see in this floor plan so you can understand what they are visually communicating. So one of the first things I want to show you are the dashed lines. So anytime that you see a dashed line in a kitchen and it's accompanied with a solid line, very much like what you see here, the dashed line is representing the upper cabinets of the kitchen. You may also see dashed lines in places like closets or storage areas. So anything installed 4 foot above the finished floor line will receive a dashed line. I don't know why they chose that. It's just the nomenclature of our field. You'll also notice that there's a dashed line in the doorway. That means something different, and it's kind of hard to explain the differences, but it's again just knowing the field and knowing the communication. If you see a dashed line and it looks like it's associated with something like a wall, it means it's hiding. So anytime you see a dashed line in an opening between two walls, that indicates that there is an opening, like a door opening, it's just that there isn't a door. But what's hiding is the fact that the opening is located underneath a wall. So the wall is continuous, it doesn't stop and end. There's wall actually going above the door opening. Now, if you were to take those lines out, how this reads is that the wall stops here and this opening goes from floor to ceiling. But with those dashed lines, it indicates that there is actually a wall above the opening. You'll also notice that there's quite a few cyan layers. So the doors, the sinks, the equipment like the stove and the refrigerator are all located on cyan. However, if you click on them separately, this one is the door layer, this one is the plumbing layer, and this one is the equipment layer. So here's my general rule of thumb. If it's electrical and you plug it into an outlet, it's considered equipment. If it has something to do with water, it's considered plumbing. And of course, if it's a door, it's a door. So even though they have similar colors, they definitely have different meanings behind them. So it will allow us, again, if I need to turn all the equipment off, I can, and oh, looks like that toilet was not on the correct layer. Shame on me because it deals with water, right? So I'm going to Control Z and I'm going to hit escape to get out of that command. I'm going to click on that toilet and look at that. I have it on the equipment layer. Let's reassign that to the A plumbing. So I just want you to be aware that even though something's on the same color, it could still be on a different layer. Now you'll also notice that I have some doors that are open and some doors that are partially closed. This is just a technique that the firm I worked for used to show what doors are egress doors. So the doors that lead to an exit versus doors that don't lead to an exit. So things like closets, storage areas. This is a water heater and a furnace. These are unimportant areas. They don't have people necessarily using them all the time. Bedrooms, bathrooms, large areas like this, people are using them a heck of a lot more often. So we show the main egress out to the exit door. So these are the important doors and these are the minor doors. That's kind of the way that I look at it. So I always put them at 30 degrees. Now you might have an instructor or a boss that wants you to show them all open all the time. Totally a preference thing. There's no right or wrong. That's just how I show them. And here's a little fun fact about residential doors versus commercial doors. If you notice in residential, like at the entrance and at your main egress doors, the door swings always go to the inside of the rooms. And the reason why is because if somebody's trying to break in, this door is a heck of a lot easier to defend from the inside if the swing goes inside. It's easier to push than it is to pull, basically. So look at your homes and see what's happening. Now in a commercial space like a restaurant or hotel, most of the doors that swing are actually facing outside. They swing to the outside, and the reason why is if we had 100 people in this room and all of a sudden there's a fire and they go running, there's going to be a stampede. And it's really hard to open a door that swings to the inside when there's 100 people pushing to keep it closed. So, because of fire safety, most commercial buildings will have it where like offices, exam rooms, anywhere where there's a lot of people, the doors will actually swing so that it will allow people to exit easier. Now the last thing that I want to show you guys is the furniture. We already kind of went over this, but because there's already dashed lines and because there's already continuous lines, which is what the solid lines are called, we needed something that would communicate that something is movable and not built in. And so the dash dot line type actually signifies that. So anytime you have something that you can move freely, it's not attached to a wall or a floor or a ceiling, they should get a dash dot. Now equipment is a little bit different because you don't want to move refrigerators or stoves. You definitely can't move toilets or sinks or water heaters or things like that. So that's why they get their own layer and furniture is a little bit separate. Well, that's all I really wanted to show you in terms of some floor plan basics. In the next video, I'm going to go over a little bit about annotation, how to add room names, and how to add legends to your construction document set sheets.